Great news, guys. You found it.
What you have found is Houston's #1 sports radio show on Houston's #1 sports radio station, JNR. What's shaking, kiddos? Fresh off of FanFest 2012, FanFest 3, which was a rousing success. Over 5,000 people were in attendance. I think that's right around the number. I'll get the official from Gavin on that one, but over 5,000 people attended over at UH. Big-time crowd, big-time fun. Sean, who's in right now, was there. It was just a fun event, a very well-run event. And very rarely am I going to kiss the ass of our boss. More times than not, he and I are going to argue over stuff, and I'm going to tick him off, and he's going to get angry.
But pucker up.
There have been multiple times where he said, I will accept your resignation tomorrow because we've argued about things. Clearly, I'm still here, so it never got awful. But he and I have had our differences. But the one thing Gavin Spittle does that other program directors in this town don't do, and the program director, is the guy that, controls the content of a radio station. The one thing that he does that none of those other guys do is puts it back into the community and back into the station. And by that, I mean, name one other program director from a sports station in town. You can't. And you know why? Because they stay behind the scenes. They don't do anything significant. Their radio stations have no audience, and they continue to get their ass kicked by this radio station. This radio station, as it is right now, and I know a lot of people talk about the glory days of 610, and I'm not going to discredit some of the accomplishments of some of those other people, because this station was around long before I was here, long before Nick Wright was here, long before Gavin was here, long before Meltzer, you were here. Mm-hmm. But right now, what the station is accomplishing is greater than anything it had ever accomplished before now. It's greater than the era of John and Lance. It's greater than the era of Rich and insert 13 other co-hosts. And this is with 3 other stations competing with it. And this is fighting for audience with the Buzz and with the Box and music stations. This station is doing more than it's ever done. And the program director of this station, Gavin, has really built this thing into what I consider a big-time sports radio station, and a station that, among CBS stations across the country, the big boss, Dan Mason, the guy that runs the whole thing, said that this is one of the hottest stations in the CBS family right now.
Yeah.
So look out. And I'm proud of the fact that I work with these guys, with Sean, with Rich, with Barry, with Nick, with Mike, with Brad. These guys, Lopez, Brian, these guys have put together a radio station that is killing the market. And when I can go into a building yesterday and see 6,000 people who were, yes, they were there to see Earl, clearly, and they were there to see Calvin, and they were there to see Jim Ross, and they were there to see Jerry the King Lawler and all the other guys.
Yeah.
But when you see guys walk up to you or me or Nick or anybody in the building and say, listen, I love the station, and they start telling you stories that they heard from your station and they know about you. There's no sports station in this town. The lazy people that work at and run those other radio stations have no chance against this radio station.
No, they don't.
Not a chance.
And let's be honest,
you don't have a shot.
Well, let's keep it real. Yesterday was it was about saying thank you to all of you, the ones that make it all possible for us to even say these words, Houston Sports Leader. It was a big thank you to you guys, a free event. Nobody else does what we do and have done for the last 3 years. So from Josh, from me, from everybody here at the station, just want to say thank you for allowing us to utter these words, and that's Houston Sports Leader. So it's been great.
It's really been a killer run for the station. I've been here for 2.5 years, and I started making $35,000 a year being the third guy on the morning show doing nothing. And now I'm here doing this show. You're doing, how long have you been here now, Sean?
It'll be 6 years in August.
6 years on the station, and now you're doing the night show with Barry, the Odd Couple, and Nick's here from Kansas City. And there are some criticisms that come from this station. Well, you don't hire enough minorities. You don't hire enough women. You don't hire enough Houston talent. Well, it doesn't matter.
We've had them all over the years.
Yes, it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic. It doesn't matter if you're from Houston, Kansas City, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Syracuse, New York, Buffalo, New York. It doesn't matter where you're from. This group of people on this radio station have come together and are kicking everyone's ass.
Hey, can I tell you something real quick?
Please do.
And this just backs your point up of what you're trying to make about it doesn't matter where you're from. I was talking to Nick earlier while I was doing show prep. He showed me this folder. Have you seen his folder that he made? He took it in to his job interview and just wanted to show Gavin and everybody what he was really all about and how much he wanted to learn this city. He has a freaking map of Texas and the highway system here, the road system in the city of Houston on the cover of this thing. You open it up and it's got the history of Houston sports, handwritten, everything in different colored ink, and it was just like amazing to see. And I'm like thinking to myself, Nick, my God, how long did you spend on this thing, man? It wasn't like stuff he'd just come up with, 2 hours before. This was like pages and pages and pages of stuff. So the people that we have here, we invest time and passion into what we do.
And, this isn't just about talking about this show, which last month, the month of May, the Bermuda Triangle starts, where people say you have no chance to get ratings because you are in May and there's no football and the city's going to turn the station. Well, in the month of May, this radio show was the 4th highest rated show in the afternoon drive, that being behind one Hispanic station. So in terms of English-speaking stations, it's 3rd behind the Box and the Buzz. So this station continues to kick ass. This show continues to kick ass. And it's funny, and FanFest just kind of highlights all this and accentuates it, but David Barron, bless his heart, the media critic from the paper, sat down next to me and Nick in our back room yesterday. We were talking to Wade, and he goes through this whole thing about how I'm amazed that this afternoon show, specifically, so this afternoon, the afternoon show is still doing so well. And I was really trying to tone it, tune it out.
He's trying to get a good quote from you.
Well, now it doesn't matter because he's not going to write anything about the station. It's like a press release is all it is. He doesn't write anything with an opinion in the paper. But he's talking to me in the back, and I'm saying, well, you know what happens? You continue to win when you put forth effort, and you've got talented people who are coming together to make something special. These guys are too worried about stroking 790 and 1560 and 97.5, and these guys are all so great, and they're got local talent, and they continue to they're just putting forth the effort. We're killing them. We're crushing them. And I don't know if it's going to last forever. I think it's going to last a long time because people here care, and the people on the other stations are lazy. They've got bosses who are lazy. They're bad radio stations. And this station will continue to crush those other radio stations. And I will say the things that people like Gavin will not say on the air, say the things that other people on the station will not say. I will say it. This station is head and shoulders above the rest of those stations. So the paper came out yesterday, and I think there's like a photo gallery for FanFest on the Chronicles website.
Yeah, it's pretty good, too.
Our boys over at HMW, Houston Media Watch, who have spent the last week basically calling me gay and saying that I ducked them, which is all well and good, but they were there to cover the event as well. So appreciate them for coming out and listening. So you know what? It was a giant event. It's just a great time to be
Craig,
here.
what's up, babe?
Josh Ennis, Sean Bajani.
How you doing?
What's up, Craig?
I'm doing fantastic. Listen, Josh, let me congratulate you on the success of your show and the ratings. There's no shock there. You guys do your thing at 610, and I congratulate the station collectively. As you alluded to a little bit earlier, and I've listened to you twice today misrepresent me in what I wrote about you, Josh. And
well, let me clarify one thing here, Craig, then I'll let you finish. For those who don't know, Craig was on the air here for a while. Now you're over there on Sundays on KCOH. And you have the Houston Media Watch blog, and I've always given you a certain level of respect for you and what you guys do because you do clearly listen to the shows on this station and other stations, and you review them. So I always give you those kind of props, and I read this story that you guys wrote today about how I ducked you over at FanFest, and that's all well and good. But then you inferred that, these other legitimate media sources would Josh duck these guys. Trust me, I don't give any of those other guys on the air the same kind of respect I give you guys because I have more respect for you than most of those other guys that write for the paper. Continue now.
Yeah, well, and that's, if you respect me, that's fine. I demand respect everywhere I go. I carry myself like a man. So I didn't start HMW to gain your respect. I I appreciate it, but it wouldn't matter, Josh, if you respected me or not. As a blogger and as a scrutinizer of sports talk radio, that's what I do. I ranked the top 20 sports talk hosts in this town last year at the end of the year, and I believe I ranked you as number 2 in my opinion. Clearly, I respect your talent. You and I have some fundamental differences, not in regard to how radio is supposed to be done. Fundamentally, Josh, you and I are just different as guys. And I just think that I represent more of the blue-collar atmosphere of this town and kind of what we are all about. And though I respect your talent, I just don't appreciate some of the things you do at times. And, Josh, you misrepresented me twice today on your show by saying, and you just said that I spent the whole week calling you gay. Well, Josh, that's just not the truth, and I wish you wouldn't. If you're going to represent me and be critical of what I say, that's fine. But, Josh, don't say that I spent a week calling you gay, because I didn't, Josh. I'm a man. I saw you yesterday at FanFest. If I had anything disparaging to say to you in that regard, I would have said it in your face. What I said was that when I turn on the sports talk radio station, I don't want to hear some bold metrosexual conversation about watching men's genitalia and enjoying it and alluding to the fact that you think that every man enjoys it. You're just the one that's so real with yourself.
All right, let me
admit it.
Okay, let me clarify one thing. Okay, to say, and I listened to your stuff last Sunday. All right, on your show, and I heard a lot of the people calling in talking about punk ass white boys on the radio and how they don't listen to those guys. I heard that you didn't.
Well, and I heard you talking about Klan dragging black folks earlier.
Yeah, okay, and that was not.
Right.
It wasn't a knock on anybody. I was making fun of the fact that they're deadbeat people. I'm not saying what they do is right. They're deadbeat people.
But did you also hear me chastise that caller?
Yes, I did. I did. And I just told you that. I said, and you didn't agree with the guy, and that's fine. But what the inference was that, and I did say on the air, and I do believe this, that there have been times that you're in the locker room and you don't want to, and it's not like it's your intention to look at a guy's junk, but sometimes you do. I never once said, ooh, I like to sit there and gawk at guys' junk, as if to say like it's something I make plans to do in the locker room. I didn't say that. So I felt that was misrepresented, if we're going with misrepresentation. I did say some of these things, but I think you are misrepresenting some of this stuff, too.
Well, then, fundamentally speaking, and I'm glad you made that point. See, this is what I mean. See, fundamentally speaking, I don't see why a man would even have that conversation on public radio.
Well, then, okay.
But that's you.
That's me.
And
see, you and I have a different opinion of what a man is.
Definitely, Josh. You and I have a different opinion of what a man is. You couldn't have said it better, my brother.
But you know what?
I don't want to debate that with you, because you feel how you feel. I'm a bit more conservative than you in that regard. I like you, Josh, and when I'm critical of you because, for one thing, I know you can handle it. But, Josh, don't get on the radio and do backhanded comments and talk tough, because you and I both know you're nothing but an inbox gangster. Because you talk tough on the air, but then you come on the inbox and you're a whole nother guy. Don't make me go there with you. I like you, Josh, but I'm going to be critical and honest and fair, and I can take the criticism, but don't misrepresent me, man, because I didn't spend a week of my time. You're not that important to me. That I would spend a week of my time calling the number 2 sports talk host at Sports Radio 610 gay all week, because clearly Nick Wright is the new star at Sports Radio 610. I challenge your listeners to put up with you over the next 6 months when you start throwing temper tantrums as Nick Wright starts to overshadow you.
Really? And why is that? And why do you think that is?
Man, I'm just jacking with you. See how sensitive you are?
Oh, no, I was just no, you made a statement. I was curious. Well, no,
I had you.
No, you didn't.
Well,
if you're going to make a statement, I'm going to ask you to clarify the statement.
Nah, I'm just jacking with you. But I think as Nick Wright starts to get momentum, I think you will struggle with it. You're very egotistical. Most people that are very, very good are very egotistical. You kind of have to be to an extent. And I think as Nick Wright starts to really make his mark in this market, which he will because of the way that he approaches the game. I studied him before he came here, listened to a lot of his work. I thought he did well in representing himself against that idiot Jason Whitlock when he called the guy out. And I just think once Nick starts to really have success, you and that ego of yours are gonna struggle with it a little bit, but we'll see how it works out. I'll definitely be paying attention. Thank you for taking my call, Josh Ennis.
All right, see you later. Bye, Craig.
All right.
Bye. All right, 713-572-4610, 61026. If you want to get involved via text, we can get to some more phone calls here if you want in. So there we
Wine
go.
or line? Wine or line is next.
That it is, sir. All right, 713.
Do we have epic wines?
We have good stuff.
Epic.
Okay.